Arsenal 5, Bolton 1. I'm here with Frank. Frank, give me your assessment on Arsenal's performance tonight. What? Tell me.
Can you smell that?
Well, I don't want to say.
Well, I got a bit of a blocked nose, so it's not as strong, but that is the smell of victory, Laurie.
No, I hear you. I hear you, man. I hear you. Right, where shall we start then? Your thoughts on Arsenal's performance and what this means in terms of going forward. I mean, you know, a lot of talk tonight about it was an easy game. Arsenal should get through, get the win, move forward with confidence into the next round. Do you think we achieved all those goals?
Yeah, absolutely. I was more than happy with our performance this afternoon, or should I say this evening. A lot of rotation in the team, some necessary and some we didn't really have much choice, especially with the goalkeeper situation. Just on the goalkeeper situation as well, I want to bring that up firstly because that is the youngest player we've ever had start a game for us. He was born in 2008, Laurie. He only turned 16 this year. So I just want to say a massive congratulations to him first. I felt a bit sorry for him when it came to the goal because I don't think Miles helps him out in terms of being out of position, and I don't think Jorginho helps him out in terms of not running or not. He didn't look to know how to run in that situation. So I felt a bit sorry for him. But apart from that, he made a good account for himself, and obviously there's a few more players to go over. Miles, apart from that situation, looks solid, and what we've got to remember is he's not a left back. He's a defensive midfielder who's playing really well at left back, and it's obviously I want to say it's unfortunate. It's not an unfortunate situation for us. We've just happened to have so many good players in that left back position now that he probably won't get much of a chance, which is unfortunate. But that's the benefit of going through in these cup competitions. You know, you get your chance to rotate the team and play a Miles Lewis-Skelly, a player Ethan Nwaneri, and that's the player I want to get onto next. He's my man of the match. And I feel like, essentially, we saw a star be born today. A star is born in Ethan Nwaneri. He got his 2 goals. I think he got an assist for one of the goals as well. Yeah. Definitely my man of the match by a country mile today as well. Raheem Sterling gets his first start, gets a goal, gets an assist, and I said I wanted a minimum a goal or assist from him, and I think there's definitely now a conversation to be had about, particularly this Saturday, in terms of who starts out on that left-hand side. I know Gabriel Martinelli played pretty well against Manchester City, but, you know, he got the assist, fantastic, but apart from that, he's really been struggling this season, and, you know, now that Raheem Sterling has opened his account for Arsenal, there's potentially more of a conversation to be had about who starts on that left-hand side. And that's what Sterling was brought in for, to have that conversation, to have that option. But now that he's made that start, now that he's got that goal, now that he's got that assist, potentially we could look at starting him against Leicester.
Yeah, I think you make some very good points there. I mean, Raheem Sterling brought in for competition for places on that left-hand side. Like you said, his first full start in front of the home crowd, I thought he did very well. He looked sharp, always wanting the ball. Got his goal, all important for his confidence. Got an assist as well. Yeah, man. I mean, it's good to see the competition there for places. It can only serve Arsenal well. So, yeah, I was pleased about that. In terms of the competition itself, I did ask Turkish prior to yourself. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. How strong should we go in future games? I mean, should we prioritise this tournament, yes or no?
Well, obviously, it really does depend on the opposition. Like, I'm not against drawing a bigger side in the earlier rounds, and the reason behind that, for example, let's just say, for example, we drew Manchester City in this competition at some point. I would rather play a Manchester City now than in the semi-finals where we've got to play 2 games against them in an already jam-packed January. So I am of the belief that if we get a stronger team in the earlier rounds, I'm not against that. But for example, we played against Bolton today. You could quite easily tell that even with the squad that we put out, we was going to win that game. And I would go as far to say easily, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but we was always going to win that game no matter who we put out. If we was to go and get, I don't know who's still in the competition in terms of the lower level teams, for example, a Rotherham. I would expect to see a lot more rotation, and that's when you would see the likes of an Ethan Nwaneri again, or you see the likes of a Miles Lewis-Skelly again, and the likes of a Nichols, who I don't think had a fantastic game, to be honest, today. And it's unfortunate because it's nice to see him get his opportunity. He didn't take it on this occasion, but I'm absolutely sure there will be more than enough chance for him to get another shot.
I hear what you're saying, but here's the slight problem I have with that rationale.
Yeah.
So supposing we get a Premier League side, mid-table, or maybe even slightly higher, maybe even slightly lower.
Villa, for example?
Well, no, they'd be higher up.
Okay, fair enough.
But say we, a decent, let's categorise it as that, a decent Premier League side, and the manager goes less than full strength, and then we go out, there's going to be a lot of criticism saying, you should have gone strong. Now we've gone out of another competition. It's another competition that we could have won or gone far in, and we haven't. That is what I'm slightly worried about. Then it becomes a little bit of you're not really taking the competition as seriously as you might have done. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we've seen for the last few years under Mikel Arteta. We had that embarrassing elimination to Nottingham Forest. We had the one against West Ham where he potentially didn't go strong enough. But what I'm finding now is that even if we do rotate in terms of what we do instead of our starting 11, there is still that strength, and we're even seeing it now with the young players. Before, I think I went back to the situation last season when we had Charles Sago Jr. starting, and that essentially came out of nowhere. I was a bit concerned, and obviously that's why we ended up going out of the competition in terms of not taking it that seriously. But now we're in a position where even our youth players that are coming through are looking strong enough and looking like potential candidates to go into the first team, especially Nwaneri, who I think should absolutely start on the weekend against Leicester, but even the likes of Miles Lewis-Skelly. So I think even if you rotate and you do draw, for example, a Brighton, I know Brighton are still in the competition, that probably fits into that category that you were speaking about. I would trust, for example, the team that he put out today to still go and beat a team like Brighton.
Okay, I mean, because, we have to be honest and say this is a competition that Arsenal have not done particularly well in.
31 years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
We've only ever won it twice in our history as well. I think once was in the 80s and the other one was 92, 93. So it's long overdue. Me personally, I would like to see us go as strong as is feasible. You know what I mean? Because I want to see us win the competition or at least get far in it. But anyway, that's another point. You mentioned the game coming up. In terms of the game itself at the weekend against Leicester, today we saw Arsenal on the attack. We had a lot more of the ball. It's always going to be that way. Some people have been slightly critical of the way Arsenal played in the last couple of games. Now, I would imagine that when we play Leicester on Saturday, we are going to, like tonight, maybe not as much as 76% possession, but we are going to enjoy a fair amount of possession on the ball compared to what we had against City. That being said, how does that affect what team he picks? Who would you like to... You've spoken about Nwaneri. Would you make any other changes to the team?
Not too many from the team that faced Manchester City. Obviously, I know there's a lot of injuries and we still need to find out what's happening with David Raya, because obviously he was out of a slight knock today. I really do hope that that's not going to affect him going into Saturday. But if it is the case, then maybe, Neto comes in. He's not the worst of backups to have. In terms of actual out-and-out changes, I think Nwaneri has earned his start this weekend. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case if Martin Odegaard was available, but he isn't. Let's give Nwaneri his opportunity. Pressure creates diamonds. That's the way I see it. You don't get a Fabregas without a chance. You don't get a Jack Wilshere without a chance. This is Nwaneri's chance on Saturday. Absolutely.
So, in effect, you're saying that you would leave Trossard out because, of course, his one-game suspension is spent tonight. So,
it's a bit of a strange situation with Trossard because I said it. I'm a massive admirer of Trossard, and nothing I'm about to say is anything to do with the red card, which is a completely different conversation. Unfortunately, and I was a massive advocate for when Martinelli wasn't playing very well for giving Leandro Trossard the start. When he starts, unfortunately, he just doesn't have the same impact as when he comes off the bench. So in this scenario, I would rather start an Nwaneri, and if it isn't working, which I don't think it would be the case, I think Nwaneri does more than well enough against a promoted side in Leicester who aren't having the best of seasons. If we're going to start him in the league, now's probably the opportunity. And then if it's not working, then we still have a player who's amazing coming off the bench in Leandro Trossard to come in and make a difference.
Okay, Frank, thanks very much.